Welcome back, dear friends, to our another series of Clean Architecture course. Today we will cover terribly important subject BLoC state management tool and how to integrate it with UI. Well, first, let's see what it is. BLoC, Flutter BLoC. Here, this is a package. You should implement it, but you may also, before implementing, you may want to read some about it, what it is actually. BLoC, widgets that make it easy to integrate blocks and qubits into Flutter, built to work with package BLoC. Well, in our tutorial, we use qubit, but you also can have information about BLoC itself. Basically, the main I have already presented here. Basically, what is the difference between BLoC and qubit is that they are almost identical, but the idea here is BLoC has events and states while qubit has functions and states. Let me explain why events. Well, according, we also write here functions to, for example, send requests to server or manipulate the given data. Like, imagine we have a registration page like login. User filled the fields of email and password and pressed the button login. This when the user presses the button, the login event will be generated and sent to BLoC. We will listen there with if else statement. If event is login, trigger that function or another one like this, and the function will generate the state. While in qubit we put function directly to the button itself. There won't be any event that we check with if else. We just put that like a login function into the button. When it presses, it directly calls the function itself. We don't need event, so it makes our coding experience much more easier. If you know how to use it, you may go to BLoC, but I try to keep simple these tutorials, so we will learn today BLoC from the view side of qubit. Later, maybe one day, I also separately make tutorials about BLoC itself. Okay, let's go to our Visual Studio Code. First, I would ask you to install this plugin to your VS Code. If it is Android Studio, don't worry, it's also available in Android Studio. What it mainly does for us is that you won't going to create BLoC or qubit classes on your own, which really time consumable. So when you install this, these things will appear when you press with the right side of the mouse to qubit folder. It doesn't matter in which folder you're going to press, but in our case we should create all qubits, all BLoC file classes into our presentation inside the qubit to keep things or organized. So we will create new qubit and we call it photo. As long as we only have one request, one model, and it is photo, so it will be photo qubit. And you can see it created one more qubit folder which we don't need. Actually, we can just select them with shift, get them and put here to remove unnecessary folder. Okay, we are done. First, we create states. As we know, we need BLoC to control our UI's state. For example, there might be states like on progress, success, and error. Basically, these three states. When your application gets complicated step by step, you will have a lot of states. But for now, for us, three of them is enough. Photo on loading. Let's create this kind of, or maybe just without on. It will look like an event. If you read the blog documentation, you will understand me. Another one will be photo list success. Well, we will have I wrote it correctly? Success. Let me see it. Yes. Photo list success. Then, of course, there will be photo error. For error, we will have message. As simple user don't understand our custom errors like 404, 403, 500, we should explain the user in in his own language. For example, no internet connection, please try later. This kind of things we will generate messages for them. And when error happens, we generate photo error state, and it will changes our UI accordingly. For photo list success, definitely there will be list of photos model. This one, let's call it list. We know what list it is. Then as we are using pagination, for instance, lists, the specified photos list may be short. After two calls, it may end up, and we should stop when it is finished. To check whether it is the end of the photos list or not, we also give boolean variable to warn, to give notification to user that images are all at the end. You can't find this kind of images according to your search. We got all images. There's no more available like this. Is the end? Is ended? Or maybe. So we could understand what we wrote here later when we come back. Well, our states are done. Before writing our function, I would like to create base qubit. I will explain you why we need it. Well, the main idea of our tutorial is writing as much as possible clean code and less traffic in our code, so we could decide or solve problems occurring within the development stage. So you could find your bugs and errors easily or avoid from boilerplate code. And we are separating the whole idea. Let's show you rather than telling about it. Photocubit base. Yeah, I know there are a lot of bases now, but each of them has their own responsibilities. This one will take care of keeping our changeable list Then we call each time for pagination, we will increase the size of the list, and we don't want to change or keep it inside the block itself, because there will be functions, and this, if we add this one also, it will be really mess. And we also want to track whether our block is busy right now or not. I mean, we don't want to send 3 times after one each other requests. It may end up with great source usage, or our UI may get stuck, which irritates our user. So always before sending request, we will check whether our qubit is busy or not. These kind of things we will solve inside this photo qubit base. How? Let's get into the practice. It will be abstract class. We don't want to show it off before other classes. Let it only be available for our photo qubit as long as it belongs to it, and it will receive 2 types of data. First will be initial state. I will show you what kind of initial state we want, and T type. It will be our list. To Well, it holds the photo list inside it. It will extend from qubit, and we give type of that state, initial state. It asks to get constructor, but we will change it a bit. Let me explain you why. Okay, for now, keep it simple. Let's create the T-type data. Well, as said, we may reuse it. Well, for now we have only one data type. Well, one model. It is photo. But later you may have in your own real projects more than one model. Thus, be ready from now to leave generative type, so you could use this base not only one but several times. In order not to get confused, I'm calling it photo qubit base, but you can keep it like just qubit base if you have multiple models that needs to be paginated, and you will keep those lists alive inside it without messing your qubit. Is busy. As I said to you, we check always whether our qubit is processing the request or it is empty. It's free. It's ready to get another request. We protect these things, yet we can't manipulate them out from outside. We only can access their value. It is, if you can remember our previous tutorials about OOP, you will understand me well. I didn't start to do those tutorials before this one, so you could get more understanding of what we are now doing. So to check whether it is available or not, we of course will have one function. It will be future. As you know, all our requests are async await type. All of them are futures. We wait, and this run function will process function parameter. We give all functions to it to process and change this is busy variable. It evokes them, then changes this busy variable. We call it its type is just function void, future void, I mean, and we call it process. It will be async. Well,